Harper Audio presents On Rye by Charles Bukowski, performed by Christian Baskous. Chapter 1. The first thing I remember is being under something. It was a table. I saw table leg. I saw the legs of the people and a portion of the tablecloth hanging down. It was dark under there. I liked being under there. It must have been in Germany. I must have been between 1 and 2 years old. It was 1922. I felt good under the table. Nobody seemed to know that I was there. There was sunlight upon the rug and on the legs of the people. I liked sunlight. The legs of the people were not interesting, not like the tablecloth which hung down, not like the table leg, not like the sunlight. Then there's nothing. Then a Christmas tree, candles, bird ornaments, birds with small berry branches in their beaks, a star, 2 large people fighting, screaming, people eating, always people eating. I ate too. My spoon was bent so that if I wanted to eat, I had to pick the spoon up with my right hand. If I picked it up with my left hand, the spoon bent away from my mouth. I wanted to pick the spoon up with my left hand. 2 people, one larger with curly hair, a big nose, a big mouth, much eyebrow. The larger person always seeming to be angry, often screaming. The smaller person quiet, round of face, paler, with large eyes. I was afraid of both of them. Sometimes there was a third, a fat one, who wore dresses with lace at the throat. She wore a large brooch, and had many warts on her face with little hairs growing out of them. Emily, they called her. These people didn't seem happy together. Emily was the grandmother, my father's mother. My father's name was Henry. My mother's name was Catherine. I never spoke to them by name. I was Henry, Jr. These people spoke German most of the time, and in the beginning I did too. The first thing I remember my grandmother saying was, "I will bury all of you." She said this the first time just before we began eating a meal, and she was to say it many times after that just before we began to eat. Eating seemed very important. We ate mashed potatoes and gravy, especially on Sundays. We also ate roast beef, knockwurst, and sauerkraut, green peas, rhubarb, carrots, spinach, string beans, chicken, meatballs, and spaghetti, sometimes mixed with ravioli. There were boiled onions, asparagus, and every Sunday there was strawberry shortcake with vanilla ice cream. For breakfasts, we had French toast and sausages, or there were hot cakes and waffles with bacon and scrambled eggs on the side. And there was always coffee. But what I remember best is all mashed potatoes and gravy and my grandmother Emily saying, "I will bury all of you." She visited us often after we came to America, taking the red trolley in from Pasadena to Los Angeles. We only went to see her occasionally, driving out in the Model T Ford. I liked my grandmother's house. It was a small house under an overhanging mass of pepper trees. Emily had all her canaries in different cages. I remember one visit best. That evening she went about covering the cages with white hoods so that the birds could sleep. The people sat in chairs and talked. There was a piano, and I sat at the piano and hit the keys and listened to the sounds as the people talked. I liked the sound of the keys best up at one end of the piano, where there was hardly any sound at all. The sound the keys made was like chips of ice striking against one another. "Will you stop that?" my father said loudly. "Let the boy play the piano," said my grandmother. My mother smiled. "That boy," said my grandmother, "when I tried to pick him up out of the cradle to kiss him, he reached up and hit me in the nose." They talked some more, and I went on playing the piano. "Why don't you get that thing tuned?" asked my father. Then I was told that we were going to see my grandfather. My grandfather and grandmother were not living together. I was told that my grandfather was a bad man, that his breath stank. "Why does his breath stink?" They didn't answer. "Why does his breath stink?"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?